is your name? What is your name? My
Jam,
name is Mr. Stodgy O'Stool. What is your name?
Jams O'Donnell, sir. Enough of that. All right.
Oh, I thought you were actually going to play something.
I did. I started to
Oh,
play
you couldn't
something.
hear it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's sad. I wonder where
Yeah,
the.
it was extremely sad.
But you can hear me talking.
But I can't hear your flute. Try it again. Give it a good old blow. Put it right up next to the.
I don't know where the speaker is. I'm
Ah,
realizing on my computer here, but let's try a jig instead. Maybe that was too. That was a bit of a
there's no
lugubrious,
need to be racist, Nick.
sad song. So, how dare you, sir? Okay, could you hear that?
No,
Is it
no,
just like it's?
no.
I swear this thing produces sound.
I
Anyway,
think you're trolling us, Nick.
it could be. It could
Yeah.
be. Yeah, it could all be anyway, welcome. Hello.
What
Uh,
is your name?
my name is Martino Pinasa.
Ah, there we
What?
go.
What is your name?
I told you, Stodgy O'Stool.
Hmm. Um, welcome
Not
to
enough potatoes.
welcome. I don't think they're well known for getting things moving, Clive.
Fibrous, are they?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I don't think they're
Well, yeah,
great.
there's fiber in potatoes. What the fuck are you talking about? I didn't realize the famine was so effective that all Irish people for generations knew nothing about potatoes. Like you
Yes, they
clearly
were
don't.
they were absent from the country for quite a while.
Potatoes are a source of fiber. I'm
Fiber.
pretty sure that's true.
Not buying this at all. But
I'm gonna
anyway,
put this into Google while you talk. Here we go.
this
Are
is this is
potatoes good for fiber?
this is literary as feck, and it is
Nutritious as feck.
our special Law Féile Pádraig or St. Patrick's Day to you non-Gaelgors. Um, it is our St. Patrick's Day special. It is, of course, late because we are Celts. And we're talking On Bail Bocht, The Poor Mouth, by the late, great Brian O'Nolan, better known as Flann O'Brien or Flann O'Brien. However, this book was actually written under his other pseudonym, Miles Nagopoline, or Miles of the
Right.
Small Horses.
So here's
Um,
the thing. Here's the thing. We're both kind of right.
oh, yes.
If you, because this is, if you consume potatoes with the skin,
Mm, you get some fiber,
yeah,
some roughage. I can see the
yeah,
roughage.
yeah.
Yes. Um,
But
but
it's mostly me being right.
I mean, it's good we're talking about potatoes because they do feature quite prominently
They certainly do.
in the text we're talking about. Um, and
So,
so,
sorry, just to preface, yeah, so we're doing, say, and this will be late, I should say that,
yes.
because I was ill and then also just a procrastinator as well. So it's already one day late,
Yeah.
recording it.
Mm,
Fuck knows when I'll put it up, but
yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but I wanted to preface this by saying, so I might get confused because, so yes, you chose this. Hang on, I should check on my cat.
Righty ho.
Um, so you sent a link to the poor mouth and so pronounce again the original title for me.
On Bail Bocht.
Is that are you doing that well? Because I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay,
Bocht is poor.
right.
So Tache Bocht, he is poor. Um, or uh, on Ban Bocht. Uh, no, I can't remember now. Anyway, so
Right.
yes, and Bale is mouth.
Okay.
So I think on Bale Box is the poor
Okay.
mouth.
So you chose this and you can see it. You can read it on archive.org if you're so
Yes.
interested.
The
But
1970s Picador version, which has illustrations by the great Ralph Steadman, which
lovely illustrations. Yes.
surprised to me because I actually have a paper copy of it that I couldn't find. I
Ah,
bought I bought it last year and I've put it somewhere. I don't know where the hell it is. But it doesn't have
Is it
illustration.
under your pig, maybe?
Could well be under the pig, yes.
Yeah, because you don't
But
go near that thing because it
no,
stinks. No.
Jesus, there's very little health in it, Clive. There's very little health in it.
So,
Um,
so anyway, you mentioned this and it's on archive.org, which is of course a fantastic resource, but for me it's not the most user friendly in terms of where I can read it. Like I don't have a good way of reading that on a device in the bath. That's the place in your house where you keep all the coal, Nick, by the way. Um,
yes, yeah.
so um, so I went looking elsewhere to see if I could find like another version of it, and
Mhm.
I found a few places actually that had something that claimed to be the poor mouth, and
Okay.
I grabbed them and put them on a device, and it turns out that every single version online that claims to be the poor mouth is actually another Flann O'Brien novel called The Hard Life.
Oh.
And at first I was like, oh, maybe it was re-released or something, or so I checked oh no, this is a totally different book. So
Hmm.
I started reading The Poor Mouth on my PC here because it's a relatively short read, so it's not too
Hmm.
hard to sit here and read it. And then when it got time to go and have my bath, I was like, I'm in Flan mode now, and I don't want to
Hmm.
leave it, and I've got this on my device, so why don't I read The Hard Life concurrently? So I
Okay.
actually ended up reading two books, Flan
Okay.
O'Brien books for this. But the thing is, I might get confused what's in
Sure.
one
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. I
and
mean,
what's the other.
I haven't read the Hard Life, so I'll definitely know if you're talking about
Well,
something that isn't
yeah,
in
well,
the poor mouth.
that's the other thing as well is it's yeah, we'll get into how it's just kind of because I love both of them, and also I want to get ahead of this as well. I suspect this is going to be uncontroversial, but we've read At Swim Two Birds and Third Policeman and
Yep.
Poor Mouth, and I read Hard Life, and I'm sure you can read Hard Life as well if you want to. And
Hmm.
there's only one major Flann O'Brien novel. I'm sure there's collections, but there's only
Right.
one major novel left we haven't read. And it sounds fucking fascinating. It's called The Dalkey
The
Archive.
archive, yes, because
Yeah.
it features that character from
Yes.
yes, yeah.
Yes. So shall we do that? Shall we
I
just become the
I
Flann
think
O'Brien
I think we
completist
have to.
podcast?
Now, I do, however, and I don't know if it's I think it was on the floor over here. Just give me 1 second. Um, yes.
Yeah, lifting up the pig there.
Yeah, yeah. I also have this.
Oh, what's that then?
This is the best of Miles Nagopoline. So he also wrote essays for the Irish newspapers.
Ah.
So my mom found me this, and this, well, I mean, I will be reading it at some point. So potentially, if it's good, we may want to do this as well, which I assume it
Well,
will be.
I can't imagine it not being good,
Yeah,
seeing as everything else he touches has been fantastic so far.
yeah,
Well, um, if I can get a copy of that, which I think I can, do we want to maybe do a double of the Dalkey archive and
absolutely.
that collection if I can
Yeah,
get it?
yeah,
All right, cool. We can certainly do Dalkey archive anyway. That's
yes,
easy
yeah.
enough to find. Yeah.
So how do you want to like? How soon are we talking about? Like right away? Like just get the stuff done, or are we kicking
Yeah,
it down
why
the road?
not? I'm
Yeah,
I'm I'm
I'm up
in
for that too.
I'm in Flan
Mode.
mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a few things that I actually asked my mum about this because so I mean to give a little context, I guess, to this book specifically. So this book is written in Gaelic. It's written in
Right.
Irish, and I attempted, just out of interest sake, to try to just read even the first like page of it, and
Is it
it's
is it also
way
the only one he wrote in Gaelic? Is
I think so, yes.
right.
And fascinating to me that it doesn't seem as though he translated it himself. So the English
Oh,
translation we have read has been translated by someone else after his death. Um, and so yeah, it
well,
wasn't like
to
he.
be fair, it would have been hard to translate it himself after he died.
This is true, yeah. So, but I think like it wasn't a case where he didn't write it in English and then translated it into Irish. He wrote it
Right, right,
in Irish because
right.
Irish was his first language.
Yes.
Um, so that's worth knowing. So we're actually reading we're reading a translation. We're not reading the
Yes.
original text, and I wonder what how different it is. I mean, I guess maybe in about 20 more years if I keep working on my
Well,
Irish.
I suppose we'll get to it a little bit later, but we got a taste of it in the form of the animation, right? We can hear what it sounds like.
Yeah, oh yeah, the actual language, yes,
Yeah.
for sure. But so apparently, I guess this is what I don't know about because I left Ireland too young to ever be faced with having to read um, the Gaeltacht autobiographies, which were apparently for many, many years a major part of the Irish school curriculum,
Mm.
where basically you there was Thomas O can't even pronounce that fucking name. It's amazing to me that I'm Irish and don't know how to pronounce half of the anyway. There was yeah the
But you do
Islandman,
own a cap.
what I do on a cap. Um, Peg Sayers' autobiography, Peg. There was a couple of these books that became required reading, I guess,
Right.
in schools, and they're all apparently incredibly depressing, just stories of abject misery. In a way, what I think later on, Frank McCourt attempted to kind of almost bring this back with his Angela's Ashes, right? And
Right, which I still haven't read.
um, you ever see the film with
No, no,
Robert
no,
Carlyle?
no, no. Should I?
No.
Oh, should I read the
Uh,
book?
no, what you should do is if you want to experience that, and actually this is good. It's a very apropos because when we get to talking about the adaptation, the film adaptation of this book,
Hmm.
uh, I think there's a connection here. Um, uh, there's no health in that at all, live. We're both quite under the weather,
Yes.
I have to say. It's
You have
been
medicine there. That's a bit early in the morning for my medicine.
yes. Um, but anyway, feck. I've lost. Oh,
Um, Something to
oh,
do with the adaptation, film adaptation
yes.
in relation to
Yes. So
best way to
the,
experience Angela's Ashes.
yeah, is the audiobook
Right, I think
by
you have
far.
mentioned this before. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
mentioned it on here, but yeah.
yeah. And I think
Read by Tom Baker, right?
right, yes, yeah, and
Right.
that's what really sells it. It's that
I believe
plumbing.
I'm remembering correctly.
Um, no, I think hearing Frank tell you the story in his own words, there's somehow it pulls a lot of the what might seem self-pitying or might just seem like miserable on the page.
Yeah,
It's not because he says in a very matter-of-fact kind of glib way, like he
yeah.
tells the story.
Well, let's say this because I will say up front as well, both of the Hard Life and what I will say. So this is actually for me at least, it's good to go on this tangent because for me,
Yeah.
both books, which both have really great last lines as well, by the way.
Okay.
Reminded me of a dog landing on my head in under the volcano, but is like those kind of really powerful cumulative last lines, you know. And
Hmm.
similarly, oddly enough, to Under the Volcano a little bit, I found both reading experiences quite absorbing, but also like they really just washed over me. And
Hmm.
I remember little key incidents here and there, but if you asked me to recall exactly what happened,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you, but it doesn't matter
No.
because I feel as if at some point when I'm a little older and maybe I'm a little, less kind of voracious in terms of, I'm gonna come back, I suspect, and I may pore over the works of Flann O'Brien. I
Yeah.
feel they're things I really want to masticate and fully enjoy,
Mm.
and masturbate and fully enjoy as well. But yeah, so I suppose more than exactly what happens in the books, and we can talk about that as well. What I did find in terms of the poor mouth, and I can't remember if this was something that occurred to me. I think it occurred to me while reading it, but I think I also read something about it somewhere else. Um, was this notion that so that the poor mouth in the Gaelic original, which I can't say, is isn't it like it specifically means to have a poor mouth or to use a poor mouth or to talk a poor mouth is like to try and engender some kind of sympathy for yourself. Uh,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and the book really treads that line between, on the one hand, yeah, like you said, you could read it and you just think, that's terrible, that is. That's But at the same time, it's almost parodying someone telling you of their heart. A bit
Oh
like a
yeah.
Three Yorkshiremen
Oh yeah,
sketch.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the first place my mind went
Yeah,
was,
that
yeah.
that was the second place for me. My Because it's in my family. So I can't remember who in my. I think it was like my mother's side, my grandmother's sisters, maybe talking about. This would have been, I don't know, in the, when was my mother born? 1942. So maybe like in the 20s or 10s or something on the family farm.
Hmm.
One of my aunties or great aunties or something swore that, were in Welsh, but yeah, swore that one winter it was so cold the flames in the fireplace froze.
Right.
That kind of thing,
Yep. Yep.
and but at the same time there is real tragedy. So it's a fascinating, and when we
Well,
get to the animation as well, is interesting because I feel as if the animation was maybe leaning a little bit more to, it's very good, but it forgot a little bit about the satire, so
absolutely.
it took it a bit more seriously.
That's my major issue with the film is that it's sad. It's honestly sad. And like things
Yeah,
that in the book somehow they're so glibly dealt with. Like for example, like the death of his wife and child, right? Which
right.
you're like, oh shit. But it barely registers with you in the book because it's all part and parcel of this parody of this self-pitying sort
Yes.
of the terrible Irish, childhood. And so the other thing is, so the book is set in an area of Ireland called the Gaeltacht, right? And there are actually several Gaeltachts in Ireland, but these are areas of Ireland where the Gaelic language continued to exist, right?
So is it kind of like tucked in? Is it like that? Like the Gale tucked, it's tucked in.
No, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think. I'm sure the Tucht comes from it. Sure,
Well,
it's
you
a
never know. I mean, sometimes there are words that like
yes.
dreich, right? Dreich exists in Welsh and Scottish and everything Gaelic as well, and meaning just kind of wet, miserable kind of. Because I remember Billy Connolly talking about dreich, and I think Ivor Cutler as well. I was like, "Fuck, we say that in Wales."
Oh,
Yeah,
well, yeah. I mean, there are Celtic isms, I suppose.
yeah.
But yeah. So looking at if you actually just Google the Gaeltacht, you'll find maps, and yeah. So basically, like the west, from the north to the south of the west coast, basically of Ireland, there
Right.
were large areas where the language was kept alive. Um, you know,
Facing the Atlantic then.
yes, yeah.
Right.
Um, and this is part of the humor of the book comes from this period in Irish history where there is the kind of the Gaelic revival, right? So you have all of these English-speaking Irish people who come from Dublin and places like this, these bigger cities, who a lot of them academics and stuff who are trying to learn Irish, or who are trying to go
Mm.
out, like they're kind of doing like Brothers Grimm kind of stuff, like trying to
Yeah.
collect the folklore. And this book has a tremendous amount of fun
Those
because
bits are hilarious.
because Flann or Miles or Brian or whatever you want to call him, because he was an Irish speaker by birth. I think he definitely views this with kind of a mixture of suspicion and hilarity, right? This kind of the
Well, I
pretension.
think it's also because he's so polar. I mean, yes, I think I'm assuming correctly that he's very much a kind of autodidact as well, isn't he? He doesn't
Yes.
come from that world.
No.
So
No.
there's this kind of shared kind of interest in a way, but coming from polar opposites, right?
And so I have to say, I wondered about this because I didn't like I grew up in the part of Ireland that is definitely English speaking, right? I didn't know anyone growing up who spoke Irish as a first language, and
Oh,
it was
really?
always yeah, and it was always
Oh,
vaguely a threat in my household anyway. It was like to being sent to the Gaeltacht because now it still goes on. Now Irish kids, are teenagers especially, are sent on buses out there for these immersion experiences, right?
Scared
Where
straight by the Gaelic language.
yes. And so I, oh yeah, I always remember like mum kind of like jokingly threatening to send us off to the
Right,
Gaeltacht if
right.
we were
You'll have
misbehaving.
to live with a pig, the stinky pig.
Exactly. Um, and so yeah, so for me, I wondered for you because you do have more Welsh, than I have than I have Irish, and then your area of Wales you said is kind of a mix, right? You do actually have some people who
Yeah, yeah. I
speak
mean,
Welsh.
there would have been people in our village, yeah, who spoke predominantly Welsh, but then also some people who spoke it very little. Um,
Right.
but in my house, for example, yeah, we would have spoken Welsh and English, just interchangeable.
And so was there that? I mean, I suppose the language never really. I mean, because in Ireland it was in danger of dying out, right? There was the fear that it was just going to go by the wayside, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't really understand why that didn't kind of because they were definitely. So I'm trying to think if my father. Can't recall if my father remembered this firsthand or if it was from his father generation. But for instance, there was a thing, not that long ago. We're talking early 20th century. Um, the Welsh Not, right, where they actively tried to discourage children from speaking Welsh, and if they did, they had to wear this wooden board around their neck, like a dunce cap.
Yeah. Okay.
It was called the Welsh Not. So yeah, so there were definitely, but as to why, I mean, obviously it worked to a certain extent, but as to why it didn't, why the language survived to the extent, I mean, obviously marginalized. I'm
Mhm.
not really sure exactly the ins and outs of that.
So
But
was
certainly, let's put it this way then. I didn't feel, and again, it might be different if you grew up in a different part of Wales, but I never, because from what you're saying, it almost sounds as if it's become politicized or something. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
No, we never had.
going right back to the beginning of the Gaelic revival, right, which is pre-Irish independence, right?
Yeah,
It is people like W.B. Yeats and the Lady Gregory and Oscar Wilde and all of these people who are trying to kind of re-engage Irish people with an interest in Irish stories and mythology and the language, but it's all coming from outside of these actual areas where it has been kept up. It's coming from
right.
Anglo Ireland, right? And so I wondered, was there anything equivalent in Wales where you had predominantly English speaking Welsh people who were going out to the Welsh countryside in some weird attempt to reconnect with their roots and learn the language and the culture from authentically
I mean, a little.
Welsh people?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, that's the thing. The radicalized outsider is always more puritanical, right? Always, right? So I remember, for
Yes, yes.
example,
But I picture a bunch of Ricks from the young ones.
yeah, well, one of my best friends growing up, um, his father was like a real kind of strong Welsh nationalist who kept telling me off for not speaking Welsh in his house. It's
Hmm,
quite funny. I remember once because we were both horror fanatics as well, me and
right.
this friend of mine. And I was around the house, and the father was as well, oddly enough. And he was also the art teacher in my secondary school. And
Okay.
I remember once being around his house and talking about Hammer films, and recently on TV, the Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell had been on, and I was talking about Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell, which is the original title of the film, but he was like, "Nah, you in Welsh, you should be calling it Frankenstein ar Creadur o'r Uffern," which I thought was kind of hilarious. But yes, but it turns out he was English. Actually, he was English.
Ah,
But but no. So I suppose that in again, I might be talking up my hole, but and I haven't lived there for a long time. But growing up, the only sense I had of kind of the language being in some way politicized would be on a larger canvas, Wales as a whole. Um, the language has survived much, much more strongly in the north.
Okay.
So North Wales,
Is that because it was mountainous up there? Like what's the, or is there
this is the weird thing, right? I've
geographic
mentioned this to you
region?
before, that there's a divide. There's a north-south divide, right? It's a cultural divide, it's a language divide, and I don't know why, because like it's not like the Balkans. If there was like a mountain range right across the middle,
Right.
I'd understand, but there isn't. Uh, but
Okay.
for some
Right.
reason, there's definitely a big gap between the north and the south, and I feel as if the north, because they've retained the language and they can speak, and there's pockets of it in the south, is odd enough, where some of my nephews and nieces grow up in Pembrokeshire. They tend to have a stronger Welsh identity as well, and so I feel as if you're talking, and it's also, provincial anyway, such a small country, but if you're talking in terms of like our media and stuff like that, there's definitely that kind of hardcore Welsh speaking Tafia, which I think probably the even though the capital's Cardiff in the south, I feel as if somehow it's the north that has the kind of I don't know, the kind of I don't know, a slight, maybe there's a slight condescending snobbery of us people in the south who speak Wenglish as opposed to proper Welsh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I assume the Tafia are related in some way to the Murphy-Ossi.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's our version. Yeah.
Um, huh. Um, yeah,
Have
so
you
I
not
mean,
heard the phrase tafia before?
no, no,
Uh,
that's the first time for me. Have you heard the Murphy-Ossi before? Or have I
yes. Yeah, yeah. I've
probably
heard that.
mentioned it
Yeah.
before? Um, so
I wonder what the Scottish one is.
don't know. The Scottish
If
Mafia.
you're Scottish organized crime,
Hmm.
let us know
Yep.
what you like to be referred to as.
Um, but so for me, I do feel like growing
Sorry,
up.
I've got it.
Yep.
Kilty Nostra. Work in
Yes.
progress, but yeah.
Yeah. No. So there is a feeling, I think, from, I mean, maybe it's just a me thing actually, but I do feel in some ways less authentically Irish for not having the language. Um,
I feel that. I mean, I've known you for a long time now. It's definitely a bit of, not a major one. It's a bit of a hang up of yours, I think. I
yeah,
think you
yeah.
do
And it's,
feel somewhat robbed of some sort of
yeah,
cultural background or something.
I think so. And the more Irish I learn, the more that I see the extent to which Irish English depends an awful lot on the grammar of Irish, right? I mean, a
Right,
lot of, I mean, even the things that people, when they parody the way that Irish people speak, and like, said he and said I and says, that stuff. That is exactly how it is said in the Gaelic. It is Dirt May,
right.
it is said I. Um, but anyway, back to the book.
Mm,
So, so yes, so the book basically is a parody of this concept of the ultra depressing. Like for example, Corcradorcra is the imagined Gaeltacht that this place takes place in. There's a scene near the beginning which I think, if, unless you're maybe from Ireland or have a pretty good sense of Irish geography, the humor probably is missing. But what he describes being able to see from their garden, he's describing being able to see to literally all four corners of Ireland. It's completely impossible.
right, right.
He's like, you could see Tory Island and you could see Dingle, and it's like, no, you can't see those from the same place in Ireland. And then yes, the fact that like at one point somebody describes the sun coming out and being terrified by this venomous lance of light that they momentarily were blinded by, because basically it just
Yes. It's
buckets down rain
torrential rain every day, right?
all
Yeah,
the time, all
yeah.
day, all night, and yes, and they live in the house with the dirt floor and the rushes and the animals crowded in there for which is, it's great because the book in a way it must have pissed off. This is one of the reasons I really like Flann. You imagine like he was absolutely needling the pretensions of yeah, the
Oh,
Anglo-Irish,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but also and the poor mouth idea of moaning and bitching endlessly about,
Yeah, yeah. He's
uh,
not trying to be representative of the Irish, right? He's
yeah.
like he's beyond that, right? He's
And he's
like
taking
he's
those stereotypes and pushing them as far as you can go with them
yeah,
as well. Right? I mean,
yeah.
like you almost could see this as being written. Like I can remember talking to to my mother-in-law, who honestly, genuinely was asking me about like she really thought that like we had dirt floors and that there were pigs in the
Right,
bedrooms,
right,
that
right.
we like and that electricity was like, oh yeah, most of Ireland doesn't have electricity on it, you know. And this is not that long ago that she said she believed these things. So the fact that that Miles is writing a book that basically plays to all those stereotypes and plays with them. But yeah, if you could imagine if you were somebody who thought the Irish were a bunch of fucking idiots, that this book kind of
Just reinforce it.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely you
yeah,
can read it in
yeah.
that way. But that's one of the reasons why I think
Well,
it's
I
so
mean, Flann
genuinely
O'Brien
funny.
himself, funnily enough, we watched whenever we talked about it, there was that brief bit of footage from him from some BBC documentary, right? And
Jesus,
I
yes.
just wonder, I mean, to what extent is because you can see that just actually just being him having imbibed a bit too much because he was nervous, but you could also see it almost as a form of trolling, right? Because it's like, and
Yes.
now we will introduce someone to represent the intelligentsia of Ireland, and he's I no fucking know. And they cut away after a few seconds, and you're like, ah, is he? Is he fucking with us? Or because he clearly doesn't give a shit. In the same way, well, not in the same. I feel as if Brendan Behan, for example,
Yeah.
is slightly more earnest in terms of, and I love Brendan Behan as well, but
Mhm.
slightly more earnest in terms of like wanting to address that there's a lot more to us than that. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whereas Flann O'Brien doesn't give a flying fuck if that's what you think of him, and
Nope.
you've got to admire that. You've got to admire that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's
Um,
why he's become a patron saint of this particular pod, and we're going to talk about all his books.
yes. Yeah. I'm glad you like this because I mean, I never know, but I mean, I thought there's a pretty good chance, and I wondered if it would speak to you in the same way that it speaks to me, in that although it's, the
I
book
don't
is
know if it
almost,
does. That's an interesting. I don't know if it does speak to me the same way as it speaks to you, but it speaks to me somehow. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
but you are a Celt and you're a rural Celt, and I do think that there is an element of
Oh yeah. I mean, we talked about
recognizable.
what was the film we watched about Canadian First Nation. What was that film? We
I
did
don't
it
know.
for Film Crack Crack. Smoke Signals.
Yes, smoke signals. Yes,
And if you
yes.
remember, there was a scene in that about someone giving like a weather report or something, and the car had
Mm,
gone by,
mm,
and we were
mhm, mhm.
saying, well, that would make sense in an episode of Father Ted or
Absolutely.
something Welsh,
Yes.
or whatever. It's
Yeah.
just that connective kind of
Yeah.
provincial,
Mhm. Oh, I mean, that's something too. I would say that there is no question that Flann has to have been a massive influence on Father Ted,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
oh yeah,
I mean, that whatever he seems to have, in a way, carved out some sort of Irish humor that, yeah, it
yeah.
almost is, you know.
The names. There's a name. There's in the hard life. There's a priest called Father Fart, but Fhart, which seems silly. Oh, but
Yeah.
it's funny. It
I
is.
laughed out when I saw Martin O'Penis. I actually
Yeah,
laughed out loud,
yeah,
and it's funny because we're going to talk about a scare at bedtime in our other show for
mm,
our other part of our thing, and that's a place where I was like, oh, these are completely all the names in that are completely Flann O'Brien
yeah.
fake Irish names.
Well, interestingly as well, getting back to the smoke signals thing, I would like. I think Flann O'Brien. The other thing, I'd like to know who the Flann O'Brien is. The don't give a fuck, just properly kind of in spite of himself representative of a culture in a way. I wonder who the Flann O'Brien for other cultures are. So who is
Yeah,
the indigenous American Flann
Flan.
O'Brien? I'd very
Mhm.
much like to read that, right?
Yes.
Or from wherever,
Oh, we should say that our main character's name in this is Bonaparte Okunasa. Um,
Yeah.
and yes,
No, it's up there with Pat Mustard. It's a
yeah,
great
yeah,
name.
yeah. So I'm just gonna read one or two selections, I think, really, really quickly that struck me.
Hmm.
In chapter three, a bunch of again these Anglo-Irish middle class folks descend upon the village and they take over this field where basically they engage in grand oratory in the Irish language. And they all have completely ridiculous made up names they've appended to themselves. And he describes people showing up dressed in dresses in an attempt to kind of like um,
Right. I like to
recapture
think
some
it's it's
ancient Gaelic.
I like to think it's the field from Father Ted, which is actually called the field. Oh, the field. Yes, it's got less rocks than other parts of the island. Um,
Oh, and as usual, Clive is going to rake me over the coals for my shit Irish accent, which is a fascinating feature of being an Irishman who has lived most of his life not in Ireland, that you end up basically adopting some form of, you know, what was the Chief O'Hara on Batman?
Be Jesus, Batman.
Jesus, Batman. Um, so, so yes, this is a speech by one of these um, folks who've come in from Dublin or Galway into the incredibly impoverished. Um,
Interesting. I'm just wondering. Sorry to interrupt. I mean, funny that your granddad had a problem with all those great actors making a holy show of themselves, but didn't mind the Chief O'Hara's accent. Maybe I don't know.
no, no, I
That
don't.
didn't
That
bother
wasn't. Yeah,
him.
no, not particularly. Um, Gales, said he. It delights my Gaelic heart to be here today, speaking Gaelic with you at this Gaelic face in the centre of the Gaeltacht. May I state that I am a Gael? I'm Gaelic from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet, Gaelic front and back, above and below. Likewise, you are all truly Gaelic. We are all Gaelic Gaels of Gaelic lineage. He who is Gaelic will be Gaelic evermore. I myself have spoken not a word except Gaelic since the day I was born, just like you, and every sentence I've ever uttered has been on the subject of Gaelic. If we're truly Gaelic, we must constantly discuss the question of the Gaelic revival and the question of Gaelicism. There's no use having Gaelic if we converse in it on non-Gaelic topics. He who speaks Gaelic but fails to discuss the language question is not truly Gaelic in his heart. Such conduct is of no benefit to Gaelicism because he only jeers at Gaelic and reviles the Gaels. There is nothing in this life so nice and so Gaelic as truly true Gaelic Gaels who speak in true Gaelic about the truly Gaelic language. I hereby declare this face to be Gaelically open. Up the Gaels, and long live the Gaelic tongue.
You see, that does speak to me because I'm just thinking in terms of so we have the Eisteddfod.
No, what's that?
Oh, so that's like our what would be that's like our I don't know what you'd compare it to. It's like a festival of Welsh culture, and it's held every year, and it's basically you have people doing Cydadrodd, and which is like recitations and singing, and everything's in the Welsh language, and it opens with like we there's this opening ceremony where someone sits in this special kind of wooden chair, and they open a sword above their head and say, "Shall we have peace?" Yes, we have peace, and we close the sword again. It's a long traditional kind of etc. thing. And the thing is, I'm saying that, and I can see you almost getting like
Yeah.
slowly dewy,
Mhm.
misty-eyed,
Yeah.
and me too, as I'm getting older and looking back with rosy hair. But the thing is, I remember, and I suspect this was probably the same with you when you were a kid, when you were something Irish was shoved down your throat. You're like, ah, fuck this boring old shit.
Hmm.
I'm gonna watch the A Team or
Yep.
something
Yep.
like that.
Hmm. Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, it is a day. We are in danger a little bit, maybe, of maybe over romanticizing. But again, that's what Flann O'Brien's kind of saying, right? Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
yeah,
Yes, and that's yeah. He's poking pretty unmerciful fun at
yeah, yeah.
the pretensions, and then so yeah. Actually, in the previous chapter, he's explaining that like the reason that Corker Dorker is no longer a site for so many outsiders coming to learn Irish. Um, uh, It was explained what was upside down and amiss and back to front with Corker Dorker as a centre of learning. It appeared that 1. The tempest of the countryside was too tempestuous. 2. The putridity of the countryside was too putrid. 3. The poverty of the countryside was too poor. The Gaelicism of the countryside was too Gaelic, and the tradition of the countryside was too traditional. Which is kind of nice. I mean, if you've, as a child, I remember going to areas that would have been adjacent to the Gaeltacht. So I went out to County Mayo and stuff like that. And yeah, you did. I mean, it was awesome. You did get those whitewashed houses with the fucking thatched roofs and all that,
Right,
sheep everywhere. And,
right,
it
right.
does still, there is that Ireland is still there.
Cocadoca as well is a great name. It reminds me there was a book came out a few years ago, um, and it was like a memoir of like a young person. I think it's a young woman, kind of discovering the joys of wine and like
Right.
wine collecting, and it's called Cork Dork, which I think is actually kind of quite a good title.
Yeah. Oh, apparently it wasn't, it was Maximiliano Penisa, was the name of
Uh,
the character.
Actually,
Um,
we might want to read Cork Dork for the show because I've got it on my list.
yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely down. Um, the other part I wanted to just read was any section relating to the pig in the house because for some reason I really liked, and it was one of the sections that I think the film did a pretty okay job of recreating without making it
Mm,
utterly,
yeah,
utterly
that's
depressing.
still comedic, isn't it? And
Yeah,
yeah.
and funny enough, like that. So there's a couple of scenes, there's a scene, like his one day of school, right, where near the beginning of the book. Um, Bonaparte Okunasai goes to school, and this is where he's given the name Jams O'Donnell by the which apparently
What
every
is your name?
yes, Tommy Tiernan, as
Oh
you
man.
mentioned,
It's funny
it's
because I saw his name in the credits, but I think even if I hadn't seen his name in the credits, I would not because it just sounds so much like him straight away. Like I didn't think Tommy Tiernan had such a distinct voice to himself. Like I just thought he sounded Irish. But
right.
no, no, no. He sounds like Tommy Tiernan.
Um, he does, although does he possibly also do another character? Because I mean that character's supposed to be speaking
Yes.
in English. I think he also maybe does one of
Yes, he does, I think
the
so. Yeah.
Irish speaking
Yeah.
characters because I think
I
he
just
is
noticed actually,
bilingual.
because uh, uh, um, because I keep tabs on when it comes up on YouTube, some stuff from the Tommy Tiernan show, his chat show, which I kind of I'm weirdly a big fan of. I don't know what it is about. You share this love of the
Yeah,
Tommy Tiernan.
yes, and I think I mean his interview with what's his face Ireland's dad, the official
Oh,
father,
yes.
um, is one of the best interviews I've ever seen with anyone. But certainly it's the best interview I've ever seen with. I keep wanting to call him Miles O'Brien, but that's the name of the character he played on Star Trek. Call him Meany. Call him Meany.
Right. Um,
Um,
um, the one with Dylan Moran is really good as well.
uh, I can yeah, I can only imagine.
But what I like about it, I don't know what it is about it, 'cause it's yeah, it's difficult to say exactly what it is, but it is definitely like it's the creme de la creme of that kind of chat show. And I don't know exactly how he pulls it off, but there's something about the way it's done. It's extremely intimate, it's very unpretentious, and it's not like they try and tackle weighty subjects, I think. But Tommy Tiernan is actually feels like he's listening to the person. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And the reason I mention it is that because it's mostly Irish people on there, right? But occasionally they have and I feel it's almost a badge of honor if you're not Irish and you're on there. Do you know what I mean? And I
Right. Yeah.
noticed one
Yeah.
of my favorite recent comedians. Do you know who Sam Campbell is? He's an
Don't think
Australian comedian.
no.
Um, he's on a lot of he does like panel shows in the UK and stuff, and he's very funny. I think you would like Sam Campbell,
Okay.
and he just recently did Tommy Tiernan, so I'm
Okay.
quite keen to see what he's like on there.
Um, Yeah, so I mean, like maybe we'll quickly talk about the film because I think in a way it is attempting to slightly ape the drawing style of the illustrations by Stedman, which are in
Yes.
the book. They
They
kind of
also
that
put me a little
etchy.
bit in mind of Bill Plimpton stuff a
Yes,
bit as
yes.
well.
Um, I want to like it more than I do. I think as we said kind of at the beginning of this, it really sometimes what works on the page doesn't work when visualized, right? And
Yeah,
I
I mean, I liked it. I know what I know. I understand the certainly the reservation about it taking some stuff a bit more seriously than the book does, I think.
it's quite overall
Yes,
quite grim,
but
weirdly
I
enough.
didn't mind that. It was like a slightly different take on it, and I also found it kind of cumulative. Like by the time it got to the end, and it was deeply sad. Like I did feel as if it had earned that sadness. It didn't feel like
Right, and it's in
poverty
the book.
porn to
No, no,
me.
and weirdly enough, it is in the book, and there is an element of like you have to like hats off to Flann for writing this parody, but at the same time,
Yeah.
still including the reality that again,
Yes.
a
Yes.
justice system where you don't even speak the language, but it's your own country. There's something
Yes.
deeply fucked up about that situation that the main character finds himself in, where he's accused of a crime and can't defend himself because he doesn't speak English, but he's Irish and he lives in Ireland, which is a situation still going on. I mean, that's part of Kneecap's um,
Right. I've
whole
still not
thing.
seen their film.
No, me neither. But anyway, but yeah, but they have done some work around that. Apparently, in Northern Ireland, you can still have issues being, um, uh, yeah, having stuff dealt with in Irish.
I did
Um,
mention to you as well, right, that just recently here in Tokyo, um, a Irish horror film in Gaelic was playing in theaters.
that's bizarre.
I think it's called Fruaka, something like that. I've
Okay.
not seen it because
Okay.
obviously, if I went to the theater, I wouldn't understand it, and the subtitles would be
No, sometimes
Japanese,
would
and it'd
not
be too
help.
fast for me to read. So, uh,
Right. Is it well something we can hopefully get at some point?
I think it's out there. I mean,
Oh, it's out.
it's in
Okay.
the
All
ether.
right.
It's just I'd never heard of it until it played here. Um, yeah, I mean, it didn't play Toho theaters, but it played a few art house theaters.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe one more section, if that's all right, and then unless you have anything else you want to
No, go
say
for it.
about the
Yeah.
book. So this is the section where Ambrose the pig is living in the house, who is the pet of the owl gray fella, who is
Right.
the grandfather of our main
Yes,
character.
it took me a while to figure out who the old grey fella was, I have to say.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, he's granddad.
Yeah.
um, so Ambrose is the name of the pig. Ambrose recovered without delay, grew strongly, and became fine and fat. But alas, God has permitted every creature to possess its own smell, and the pig's inherited aroma is not pleasant. When Ambrose was little, he had a little smell. When his size increased, his smell grew accordingly. When he was big, the smell was likewise big. At first, the situation was not too bad for us throughout the day because we left all the windows open and the door unshut, and great gales of wind swept through the house. But when darkness fell and Sarah came in with the piglets to sleep, that indeed was the situation which defies both oral and written description. Often in the middle of the night, it seemed to us that we would never see the morning alive. My mother and the old fellow often arose and went outside to walk 10 miles in the rain, trying to escape from the stench. After about a month of Ambrose in our house, the horse Charlie refused to come in at night and was found every morning drenched and wet, for there was never a night without a downpour upon us. But he was nevertheless in good humour despite all he had suffered from the inclemency of the weather. Indeed, it was I who bore the hardship without a doubt, because I could not walk nor find any other means of self locomotion. Um, anyway, yeah, this entire chapter of the book about how bad the pig smells. It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, it's good. I would also highly recommend The Hard Life actually does kind of make an interesting companion piece because it's kind of it's the flip side of this a little bit. Like uh that it's less of, and plus that I think that was written in English.
yes.
but it's how can I it's less satirical of that, like it's a bit more poor mouth than poor mouth
Right,
is, but
right.
it's still, you know, it's still poking fun at the
Hmm.
whole thing. Um, but yeah, no, interesting companion piece, I think.
Hmm.
And yeah, we'll get to, and yeah, if you read it in the interim, you can talk a little bit
I
about it
will.
when we do Dalkey
I
Archives
think I
as
will.
well.
Yeah.
So more Flann coming because it turns out we're big fans.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. He
yeah,
has not let us down yet. Not
no,
at all.
no. Although I wouldn't appoint him designated driver.
Yes.
That would be like, didn't who is it in the Hellraiser's book? Is it Peter O'Toole? There's a whole section about him going out for a drive when he's off his face or something. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is just terrifying. I think it's Peter O'Toole. Um,
Yes.
anyway,
Hmm.
um, hmm. So the guy who directed the film as well, Tom Collins, he did that documentary Teenage Kicks the Undertones.
Oh,
And he
okay.
also directed something which is on YouTube. I'm quite interested to see. He did a documentary called Battle of the Bogside.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I might take a look at that as
Yeah,
well.
that's I would like to see that too, actually.
Yeah,
Um, oh,
right.
and the other thing, the last thing we'll say is so there's two repeating phrases that come up over and over again in the book. One is something around like that, like the Gales have no luck, basically, or like,
Mm,
and then the other one is like, their likes or our likes like will not be seen again, which is
yes,
it's like this
yes.
endless litany
It's like a little
that
refrain, isn't it? Yeah.
yes, but it's also I can remember hearing that as a child growing up. Like I
Oh,
remember
really?
saying that. Like it was just that is just an Irishism of a certain generation.
Right.
Anyway.
It reminded me of how Frank Bottom would often end with, it is. It really is. Thank you.
Yes.
Or what's the Half Man, Half Biscuit everything is a lot of their songs. How do they tonight or something? There's like something they end a whole
Right.
bunch of their songs with the yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, uh
Mm.
yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's Flan.
Okay.
Read it.
Hmm.
Because it's ace. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll be reading some more next time.